last thing to talk about with how this stemmer function works is that I always wanted it to return a tuple, no matter what. So, like here, I'm passing the empty string. Well, what I want to get back is a tuple made up of the empty string and the empty string. No matter what, I always want a tuple, and I don't want any none values anywhere. And so we've seen with the regular expression that we could get something in the first part and nothing in the second part, or vice versa, or something in both parts. And so I wanted to show you how to write little short circuits that would return something. And to rely, I'm going to rely on this idea of truthiness. So the idea is that something we have our true and false values in Python, but we also have things that are truth-like. And I list a bunch of them here. If we're looking at true and false, then we would get back true or false. We'll get back the true version. But it's the same with 1 and 0. We've actually already seen how we can underneath the Boolean values, really they're using integer values to represent these. So 1 is considered true and 0 is considered false. Actually, it's better to say that 0 is considered false and anything that's not 0 is considered true. And it's the same for floating point numbers. So 0 is considered false and anything that's not 0 is true. Here, the string 0 is not an empty string. So it's considered true. But in here, 0, the actual integer value, is considered false. So it returns the false, the last thing in the expression. In a list context, an empty list is considered falsy. So any list that's not empty is considered truthy. And the same with the dictionary. An empty dictionary is considered falsy or falsish. And so any dictionary that's not empty is considered basically true. So I was showing here that if I try to match, for instance, against the empty string, my match, I have something because of the way this was written, but there's nothing in the first part, and there's an empty string in the second part. And I want to construct a tuple that has the first group and the second group. And if I say match group 1, then it returns actually a none. If I say what's the type of that. So I can say match group or the empty string, and it will give me the empty string because there's nothing in the first group. And I can do the same with the second. And so if I put those into a tuple, match.group2 or that, and I put that into a tuple, then I'm guaranteed of always returning something in both positions. I didn't want to return any non-values. I didn't want to surprise any code. So the way I decided to write this function, that's the way the kind of the contract that I'm giving to the consumers of this function. So it'll be up to the calling function to decide what to do with that information. Where I'm saying here that the leading consonant bit, there was nothing there, and the following part of the word, the rest of the word, there was nothing there. It's up to my calling code to figure out what that means. And so if I go and run this on, for instance, the word chair, and then I were to construct that again, it would return the CH in the air. And if I go back and run that on apple, then that's going to return the nothing, the no leading consonants, and then the apple. So to me, this is the way I wanted to write it. Oh, and then lastly for the redunzel, forget how to spell it. And if I run that, then it's going to give me everything is the leading and there's nothing in the rest. So that's the way I decided to write it. You can write it differently if you want, but that's just a little bit about true and false. So going forward, your program, hopefully you've got everything you need to write this, because you know how to take the word from the command line. And now we've talked about how to split that into the two parts that you would need. And if you get something back, if you have something in the rest of the word, that second part, then you have something that you can rhyme. If you don't have anything in that second part, then there's nothing you can rhyme, and you need to say cannot rhyme, the word that you were given. But if you do have something, then you're going to take all the consonants which we talked about how to define all the consonants, and you're going to add those onto the beginning of the word along with all those consonant clusters I gave you, but you're not going to add the original consonant sound to the word. You're going to create all these rhyming words, and then you're going to print them out in sorted order. So kind of a complicated program to write. Good luck, and we'll talk about the solution next.